Welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Today I'm going to do something I'll probably regret. I'm going to do a chili pepper trial. We're going to taste all the peppers we're growing. Not many of them, but the ones we've got near the end probably do me in. Let's go. Well, I've grown about 5 different kinds of peppers or chilies, and we're going to test them today, taste test them, starting with the weak ones like the bell pepper and the poblano, the mountain roaster, and then we're going to move up to the cayenne pepper, which I've grown and used. I'm going to taste it raw. Normally I use cayenne peppers, dried and ground into powder. And then I've got a gochujang pepper. I think that's how you say it. It's a Korean pepper. It's designed to be dried and ground into powder, but we're going to taste it fresh off the bush as well. I'm a little worried about that one, but let's go harvest some peppers. All right, first things first, get that wasp away. We're going to harvest one of these Flavor Burst bell peppers. Nice orange bell pepper, nice and ready to be harvested. Yeah, I've also got these Ninja bells, but they're not quite red. I want them to be nice and red. And yeah, so we'll try this one and test it out for flavor. Of course, this is going to be the kind of the weenie strength, not very powerful. It's a bell pepper, so that'll be a sweet pepper. Look at these. These are poblanos, and they've got that nice poblano shape, but they're very small. These poblano peppers have not gotten very large for me this year, but they're still perfectly edible, so we're going to try a poblano. These sometimes have no heat, and sometimes they've got a little bit of spice to them, so we'll try that one as well. Here are my cayenne peppers. Now, I don't have any fresh red ones on the bush right now because I've harvested them all, but you can see how prolific this variety is. This is called Red Flame Cayenne, and it puts on tons and tons of fruit, even on a small little bush like this. I have some ripe red ones inside, so we'll grab one there. Here's our next pepper we're going to try. If we look down here, we've got a nice ripe one. This is called Mountain Roaster. It's a roasting sweet pepper, and we're going to just try it straight up. You can see that one's got a little damage there. I don't know if that can't be sun scald. It was nice and low, so that's probably some bug damage, but we've got plenty of flesh there we can try, so we'll add that to our mix of sweet peppers. Here we have gochujang. Gochujang, this is a Korean pepper, and they're designed to be dried. Here's one that's starting to get red, but I think you're supposed to harvest them when they're green, so we'll take a green one. Right next door I've got some Jedi jalapeños. We'll take a small one. I didn't mention the jalapeno earlier, but that's one we're growing too. So these are a couple of hot ones to go along with that cayenne. I'm a little bit worried about that big Korean pepper. Let's go taste these. All right, I have my milk ready in case I need it near the end. But here are our peppers. These are the ones we're going to try. We're going to begin with this bell pepper, and it shouldn't be any trouble whatsoever. Nice, fragrant. Just what you want from a bell pepper. Nice and juicy. It's got pretty good wall to it, so this is a quality pepper here. Take a little chunk. This again is Flavor Burst. Let's see if there is a Flavor Burst. Yeah, you love a good red or yellow or orange bell pepper. They have that fruitiness to them. Man, that's good. I could eat that like candy. So this Flavor Burst is not hot at all. There's no heat, no capsaicin coming through at all. It is completely and totally sweet. A little dipping sauce, a little ranch dressing. That'd be a hit. That's good. So now we're going to try what is called a mountain roaster. This is a big roasting pepper, and I've tried these already. They're like a red bell pepper. So let's cut into this one and let's remove that portion that looks like it had been bored in by a bug. I don't see anything in there. That might just be a wound. As you can see, let's cut this open so you can see what it looks like inside. It's just like a long bell pepper. It's got that same kind of pith there. The seeds do go down quite a distance into this, but not many seeds at all. All right, let's smell it. Not much smell. Let's take a bite. I don't want any of those seeds in there, so I'm going to cut a little bit off like that. Now again, I expect it to be sweet. I expect it to be just like a bell pepper because it's a roasting pepper. It's supposed to be sweet. So very, very sweet. It's got a sugary taste. It's not as flavorful or fruity as that orange Flavor Burst bell pepper. It's not quite as sweet, but it's got enough wall there that if you roast it, you'll get that caramelization of the sugars in there. It doesn't have a very peppery flavor at all. It's actually just kind of sweet. Almost has a celery, very faint celery hint in there. It's a good pepper. These are big enough you could stuff them, and they'd make a nice stuffing pepper. Yeah, I like that. That's a good pepper. All right, well, we're going to set that aside now. We're going to move on to our next pepper up the scale. This is the Poblano pepper. And this is a very small one, but it's mature and ready to eat. This particular variety from Johnny's Seeds has not got big for me like varieties I've grown in the past. Poblano peppers sometimes get huge, while these are just not very big. They're pretty thin-walled, as you can see. And Poblano peppers, if you let them get red and you dry them, they're called ancho peppers, and they can be very savory. So we've got a little bit here. Thin-walled. Normally these have quite a skin on them, and when you roast them, you can just peel that skin right off. So sometimes these will surprise you with their heat, and they'll be a little bit spicy. But I'm not expecting much from this. Oh, I say that, and I sniff it, and I immediately get some spice. So let's try this one. Oh, that's got some spice to it. Whew, didn't expect that. Not quite like a jalapeno. Not quite like a jalapeno, but there's some spice in there. It has a very green flavor. I don't know how to describe that green flavor. I usually call it vegetal. You can taste the greenness of the chlorophyll in there. It's got that green flavor, that not ripe flavor. If you let them go red, they have a little bit more flavor, a little bit more sweetness. But yeah, there's some heat there that I wasn't expecting. So that kind of Poblano pepper is perfect for roasting, slicing, and putting on fajitas. It's good for stuffing if they get a little bit better. These aren't going to be good for stuffing. They're too tiny. I guess you could make a little popper out of that, hollow it out. But not worth the effort. But if they're huge, if they're big, sometimes you get Poblanos that are, that big. Those are perfect for stuffing and making something like a chili relleno. But that one's got some heat to it. I'd be interested to see. I found Poblano peppers, the fruits on the same plant sometimes have different heat levels. I also wonder, since we've had a drought, if that has affected the concentration of the oils in the plant, and there's not as much water in there. Sometimes if you get a heavy rain, peppers will be more mild because there's more water in the fruit. So, all right, well, that was more spicy than I expected. Let's move on to the spicy ones. Okay, here's where I'm a little bit concerned about my tongue. This is a young jalapeno, probably packed with heat. This is a cayenne pepper. I know they're hot. And this is the unknown. This is the Korean pepper. And, well, I'm expecting that to put me under the table. Let's start with the jalapeno. I know what jalapenos are like, and when they're green and not pickled, wow, these things can be hot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a bite out of it. All right, am I ready? Surprisingly, this jalapeno, well, here it comes. Here comes the heat. Surprisingly, though, this jalapeno is about the same heat as that Poblano pepper. Normally, a green jalapeno packs a punch. Got some seeds in that one, some pith. It's the seeds and the pith in a pepper that normally have the concentration of the heat. It's got a good jalapeno flavor. Not too hot. I'm surprised. Let's try a ripe one. I've got a ripe one. Let me go get it. Check this out. This is a ripe jalapeno, vine ripened or bush ripened, and you can see these splits in the skin. I have seen on YouTube that Mexican grandmothers consider the splits to be a sign of heat and spiciness. I don't know if that's an old Mexican grandmother's tale or not, but we're going to take a look inside of this one. You can see this thick wall. This is a beautiful, beautiful jalapeno. Nice size to it. Nice floral smell. So I'm just going to take a little bit here. I'm not going to go too heavy on this because I've got two powerhouses to try next. We're going to try that little bit of ripe red jalapeno. Surprisingly, not hot, not very hot at all. And these are not even jalapenos. These are Jedi F1 hybrid jalapenos from Johnny Seeds, and they're supposed to be pretty spicy. Here comes some spice. Yeah, I got some pith there, and here it comes. Just the right amount of heat for a jalapeno. That's what you want. So, this ripe version of this pepper, the jalapeno, has a little bit more fruity flavor, a little bit more floral note, and you can't really smell it, but you can feel it. Yeah, I can feel that heat. Yeah, that's got some spice to it. I imagine if I cut in up higher on the pepper here, where there's a lot of pith and seeds, then I'm going to find a lot more heat. But I'm not going to do that. So that's about an average jalapeno. It's lingering in my mouth. The heat is on my tongue. It's in the back of my throat. And if you're not into spicy peppers, this is not going to be for you. But if you like a little spice in your food, then this is for you. So a spicy jalapeno, that's about average for jalapeno. Now I don't remember what they are on the levels, you know, how much capsaicin they have in them, what the Scoville units are. But a jalapeno is kind of the top of the wimpy peppers. It packs a punch and it leaves your tongue on fire. And well, that's about what I would expect from a jalapeno. So there we go, a ripe jalapeno pepper. It'll put a hurting on you, but not too much of a hurting. Here's our cayenne pepper. This is a red flame cayenne. Let me show you what it looks like on the inside. They're pretty thin walled, as you can see. They're good for drying and making into powder. You know what? That's all I'm going to take right there. Yeah, that's all I'm going to take. That's going to be a spicy one. All right, here we go. I'm just going to go for it. Cayenne pepper from Johnny Seed. It's called Red Flame, and I know they're spicy. All right, generally cayenne peppers take a while for the heat to set in. I chewed it up quite well. Yeah, here it comes. I'm not quite getting as much as I expected. Take a little bit more. It does have a nice kind of a, not quite earthy, but it's a little shift to earthy from the fruitiness of those sweet peppers. You can taste the redness, I guess you could call it. The redness is a flavor in peppers that gives it a, I guess it is kind of earthy, but in a good way. There's a savoriness about it. That's what it is. There's savor to this pepper. The walls are thin, but if you taste this pepper, you get that kind of a, there's a savoriness that I can't quite put to words, but it's the flavor of red pepper, dried red pepper, except when it's fresh like this, it's not quite as powerful because it's not quite as concentrated. I'm surprised though that this pepper is not quite as hot as the jalapeno, but the heat comes on a little bit slower, and I'm still kind of waiting for that heat. It's a little bit different heat. The jalapeno heat is acrid and very potent and sharp, while this one is a little more mellow, but it intensifies. And you can feel it on your tongue, on the surface. It doesn't seem to spread out in your mouth as much. It's probably because there's not as much oils in this. It's a thinner walled pepper. So, cayenne. Not quite the beast I thought it would be, but still has nice punch to it. Here we go. Let's move on to the big one here. This is a Gochujang pepper. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. It is supposed to be made into a powder. It is a Korean pepper. I expect this one to be quite a beast. So, let's take a look inside. Not a lot of Not a lot of seeds in there, at least right down there. I can see more way up near the top. Down here, thin wall, 2 bands of pith and seeds. Yeah, I'm procrastinating, y'all. I'm getting some of that pith out. Oh, whoa. When I smell it, oh, I touched it to my nose. Oh no. When I smell it, I do get immediately that heat, that my nasal cavity kind of reacts and is like, ah! And, well, we're just going to go for it. Cut off a bit there. That's probably too much, but what do you think? Yeah, I think I've made a terrible mistake. But we're going to double down because I'm not getting a lot of flavor yet. Okay, so we have a very green flavored pepper. Very, again, you get that chlorophyll. Not a lot of fruitiness to it. Certainly has some heat. Tastes like a bell pepper, a green bell pepper, but with heat in it. I wonder what this would taste like if it was ripe and red. Whew. Yeah, there's some heat here. I'm going to take a bite from near the top where these seeds are and this pith. Oh dear, look at all those seeds. I'll be killing myself if I eat all those seeds. I'm going to knock out some of those seeds, y'all. Call me a wimp. I'm not into super hots. But we're going to try a bit of that pepper from further up near the stem. That's where the heat comes from. These have a nice heat. It's a building heat, but it's not overpowering just yet. I'm actually quite surprised that this isn't putting me under the table and causing me to get the ice cream out. Alright, I'm going to eat some more of it, along with some seeds. Yeah, here it comes. Whoa. Okay. This Gochujang pepper, if we dry this and concentrate it into powder, that's going to be potent. But it's not too bad, actually. There's a nice heat. It's a pleasant heat. Heat, whenever you have capsaicin in your mouth, the body reacts by releasing endorphins and gives you that kind of sense of pleasure. This is a pleasurable pepper. It's green. It's got that bell pepper flavor. It's got a nice chili flavor almost. It's not quite pungent. It's still very mellow on the flavor side. The savoriness of it's kind of mellow and vegetal, but it does pack some heat. Yeah. Yeah, it packs some heat. Gonna need some milk. I've learned that the Poblano pepper is the surprising one here, because the Poblano has some heat to it that I didn't expect. The jalapeno, the red jalapeno, the tastiest of the hot peppers, and probably the one that comes on fiercest up front with heat. It immediately, the heat blooms in your mouth. You feel it migrating to the back of your throat, and it's pretty spicy. The cayenne pepper, kind of a wimp. I'm quite shocked that the cayenne's not super hot, but it does have that wonderful flavor, that cayenne flavor, that red flavor to it. Yeah, I could eat all these raw and not go, not pass out from heat. I'm quite shocked. So here's our ranking then. Let me get you in view here. Bell pepper, like eating fruit. Wonderful snack. This is delicious. The weakest one, no heat at all. The mountain roaster, very delicious. Just like a bell pepper, virtually the same thing, but not quite as thick-skinned. and not quite as fruity. The Poblano pepper comes in at, well, there's some heat to this. I'm surprised by that. A little bit of heat, more than I would expect from a Poblano, but perfectly good for a stuffing pepper. Our jalapeno, the green one, not hot at all yet. Maybe that's just a fluke, but the red one's got some heat, and that's going to be our fourth hottest. It's actually just a little bit hotter than that. Then we have our cayenne pepper, which surprised me by not being very hot at all. It's actually quite mellow for a cayenne. But like I said, if you concentrate this down into a powder, then you concentrate the oils, and when you grind it up, boy, that'll put you on the floor. You got to wear a gas mask if you're dealing with the powdered version of this. I have a video on how to make this powder and how I do it, and I'll link it up there. And then our gochujang pepper. I expected this to be a nuclear pepper, but it's not. It's not quite that rough. I will be curious to see what they taste like when they're red and nice and ripe, but I think you're supposed to harvest them when they're green. I could be wrong. If you know, if you're familiar with this Korean pepper and Korean cookery, please let me know. Gochujang, very good pepper. So, well, I thought I was going to be hurting really bad. My nasal cavity is nice and clear, but my mouth is not on fire, and it's just been a few moments since, well, most of this video has been real time. My mouth's not on fire. I'm not hurting like I thought I would. I've been kind of procrastinating all day, but these chili peppers and these sweet peppers are not that hot. I wonder if it has something to do with the weather. I wonder if it has something to do with our drought, but I have been watering them. The bell pepper is the favorite one here. It's delightful, it's sweet, it's like candy. This particular bell pepper, though they've been small this year, most of my bell peppers I get have been small. The ones in pots are small. The ones that I've grown in the ground got normal size, like the kind you'd buy at the grocery store. But this particular one, Flavor Burst, it truly is a flavor burst. It's delicious. This is my favorite. This is the winner. I could eat it like candy. And I will. If you like our video, I hope that we have earned your subscription. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Hey, we'll talk to you next time on Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Y'all have happy gardening. See you next time. Bye-bye.